Welcome to Jamaica. We start off by exploring the Caribbean waters on a private heritage horseback ride from OCHO RIOS on the north side of the island. When people think about vacationing in Jamaica, they often think of all-inclusive resorts with the ultimate relaxation while vegging on a beach. And you can do that in Jamaica, but you will see traveling to Jamaica can be so much more than that. Literally horse riding through the sea upon your trusty steed. While this is an adventure, you will never forget the experience that you will have. So anything you plan to do near OCHO RIOS, like this amazing horseback ride, I recommend you do early before all the cruise ships disembark or after they all leave the port. Either way, riding through the waves is refreshing and my favorite way to experience the Caribbean. Further detail can be found in my travel itinerary I link to in the description of this YouTube video. A few miles away from the horse ride was one of my favorite stops of my entire journey and definitely will not be found in any of your typical travel itineraries. This place is called Firewater. Yes, that is correct. This water can be set ablaze. This is such a unique experience and a natural phenomenon. It is incredible just playing with the fire and the water in your hands simultaneously. How is this possible, you may ask? You see, that is natural gas that bubbles up through the Earth's surface into this little pool. It is those gases that can be set fire. So you can go there, sit back, relax, and soak up the water and the fire and get as daring as you would like with the fire, if you want. Everywhere we went, it felt like nature just provided us something unique, which brings us to Jamaica's glistening waters. You can just watch as the water glows a soft blue due to a process known as bioluminescence. Now, I have experienced this phenomenon both in Puerto Rico and in the waves of Southern California, and neither are as close to how amazing this spot is. The bioluminescence here is more consistent and stronger glowing of a blue than any of the other places. Now, we stayed in a few locations on our vacation here in Jamaica. The first place we stayed was an all-inclusive resort called Iberostar. The location of Iberostar is supreme and has plenty of places to relax and eat all the all-inclusive food that you would like to eat. We actually chose this specific location for two main reasons. First, I love the infinity pool that is located on the beach. Second, a professional massage on the beach. You've gotta do it. If you watch all my travel videos, I have done Thai massages in Thailand, 300-year-old Turkish baths in Turkey, Blue Lagoon mineral spa in Iceland, and listening to the waves crash right in front of you as the warm breeze soothes your skin. There is no better way or country to relax in than we did in this massage in this moment on the beach. Now, before we go on to other parts of the island, we had to visit one last place that everyone tries to visit while in OCHO RIOS, Dunn's Falls. These are incredibly gorgeous waterfalls that flow right into the ocean. They are so beautiful. The way they spill into the ocean, they are a national treasure to those in Jamaica. And the fun part about them is you get to hike right up the waterfall and alongside it. But I like to be real with everyone that watches my channel. The falls come with one large downside. They attract a lot of people, and they're trying to do that. Not just tourists, but locals alike. In fact, they made the area around the falls into kind of like this theme park. So there is always going to be crowds around Dunn's River Falls. Next, let's move on to the east side of Jamaica, which is way less touristy than the north and the west and is way underrated. In fact, early on, this was competing to be the tourist part of the island, but ultimately the other parts took over, and we are so lucky they did because now we have quite a few gems on this side of the island. Let's start off with my personal favorite activity on this part of Jamaica. It's actually a resort, if you can even call it that. It's called Great Huts. Here there are 17 huts, like actual huts, that sit atop this cliff in a lush little forest that overlooks the Caribbean Sea. Now, walking around, we came to one of the many outstanding features of Great Huts, the Cliff Edge Infinity Pool. I mean, are you kidding me? In essence, this is an infinity pool that sits above the Caribbean with all the crashing waves below. This may be one of the best located pools in the whole world, but I haven't even gotten to the best part, which is the huts themselves. You see, each hut is a different style, and we stayed in the Queen of Sheba hut, which is an African style hut, and to me, I consider this glamping at its finest. You are really just one with nature, as it is a hut and it has these very large open air windows. I loved our hut, and it ranks with all the amazing places I have stayed, like Iceland's Bubble Hotel, a Hawaiian treehouse, a Turkish cave hotel, and a huge castle in Ireland, and much more. So watch those videos and subscribe to my channel, as I always find the best places to stay and things to do everywhere we go. Oh, and if you thought it ended there, you are wrong, my friends. You see, the resort has its own private little beach on Boston Bay. The private beach is fun for exploring, relaxing, and having fun. So lay out on a hammock or lay out on a chair, and they're all naturally shaded by some trees. Or also at this private beach, have fun by doing some cliff diving into the blue waters below. It really is so much fun to jump into the water. But don't worry, there are more opportunities for cliff jumping in Jamaica, and we'll get to some in just a moment. But also don't forget, explore the little tide pools right on this private beach. It took us to this little sea throne within some tide pools. It was just so chill and so cool to just have the waves crashing all around us, but being protected and sitting on this little throne at the tide pools. Now, there are also many day excursions from Great Huts, but my favorite was RIOS Falls and Rabbit Hole. RIOS Falls are a popular little set of falls to travel to. Now, in my opinion, the falls are really pretty, but nothing to really write home about. You can definitely visit cooler falls on the rest of the island or many other places in the world. But the real magic of RIOS Falls is when you hike up the river past RIOS Falls to something called the Rabbit Hole. Now, they may tell you that you shouldn't go up this way, but they really don't care or have a problem with it at all. It's something that the people that work there have to tell you, but they don't care if you go and do it. In fact, the magic is that you don't even need a guide to find the rabbit hole, though some guides will try and get you to pay more so they can guide you up that way. But all you have to do is just follow the river, and it will take you to everything you want and need to see. Now for the secret of this hike. At the end of the hike is a secret, picturesque waterfall that you can only get to by crossing a fallen log. And also, you can jump in, and it was so exquisite and refreshing and isolated, and we were the only ones that were even close to this place. I recommend doing some light exploring of the area and getting a few pictures if possible. Now, that was the end, but about halfway between RIOS Falls and that secret waterfall is a little spot they call Rabbit Hole. It is this medium-sized waterfall hole just big enough to drop into the serene grotto below. It is such a cool experience to be in that little cave and just explore its short little tunnels and the rooms it opens up into. I highly recommend this hike. It is so cool, but if you don't get to do this hike, then I don't really recommend coming to RIOS Falls altogether. Next to Great Huts, like we said earlier, is Boston Bay. The Boston Bay beach is a sight all in itself. This quaint, serene little beach hike is highly picturesque with its rope swing and surrounding rocks, cliffs, and shallow blue water. Many of the locals like to just come and relax at this beach all day, and it was a great experience getting to know some of them and talk to them for a while and be so secluded, unlinked to the more touristy areas of Jamaica. One thing to note about Jamaica is the people are awesome. We ran into some of the coolest people while here. But it is a slightly impoverished country, so while they are all friendly, they all will try and sell you something or try and ask for money. Just politely decline and talk to them for a while, and you will have a great time. Another great thing about Boston Bay is that it is an excellent place to learn how to surf, as the waves are fairly small and evenly spaced out in just a way that makes learning simple. Now, if you haven't ever surfed, I would highly recommend that you learn how to do it here. Surfing with a surfing instructor is actually quite easy, and most people get on the surfboard the first day they try if they use an instructor. This was Danny's first time, and after a few wipeouts, he was easily getting up on the board. Another cool thing about staying at Great Huts is it's a 3-minute walk to get you to Boston Bay Beach, and only a 1-minute walk will take you straight to the birthplace of jerk chicken itself. It may not look like much, but this is Boston Jerk Center, and it is the perfect place to come get your Jamaican jerk as well as their festival bread. But the food here is so good, and eating here in this region is where it all started. Well, from there, we traveled to the southwest of Jamaica. The first place I wanted to visit was a place unlike anywhere you have ever been. In fact, it is so remote that you must take a boat to get there. So we got on a boat from our new resort and traveled 20 minutes through some of the bluest waters you have ever seen. Eventually, we get to this amazing bar/restaurant that literally is just sitting in the middle of the ocean on wooden poles. It is so cool. Where will you ever go to a restaurant in the middle of the Caribbean again? I mean, are we actually living out the movie Pirates of the Caribbean? Because that's what this feels like. And immediately you feel transported to another place in time. The decor is very unique, and the whole bar has this free feeling. Their wood beams have people's names all scribed into them that have visited. They have drinks, even non-alcoholic drinks as we did. Everyone is just chill and friendly. Kids are playing checkers and so on. We just enjoyed relaxing and getting to know the people also visiting this area. You really should make a stop if you are planning to visit this part of the island. I love it because this is so authentic. So come enjoy the Caribbean as it should be enjoyed. With the ocean, its breeze, the view, friendships, food, and even take a dip in the sea if you want. Another great part of the southwest in Jamaica is another awesome place to stay called Jake's. Jake's is a little resort of oceanfront bungalows on Treasure Beach, and mostly each bungalow providing its own butler and maid services. We loved our cottage, which was called Treasure Cot, which was the first cottage here at Jake's. This 3-bedroom cottage is a place of togetherness and inspiration, soundtracked by the constant nearby sound of waves crashing against the beach. Now, I recommend staying in Treasure Cot, but there are other amazing ones. All the furnishings here feel new and make a great place to relax. Everything was deliberately kept simple and light and open, like built-in furniture, like these day beds that are in front of the beachfront windows. And then in back, the coconut trees with a hammock that overlooks the beach is the charm of this special place. You can just kick off your shoes and enjoy the ocean and let your cook and butler take care of everything for you. And because this is such a remote part of the island, it's actually not as expensive as other places on the island. One of the mornings here, we traveled to RIOS Falls. Jamaica, being a tropical island, has plenty of waterfalls, and as you can see, they are really magnificent falls. In fact, RIOS Falls was probably my favorite waterfall in that they are very big and beautiful and were not too overrun with tourists. In fact, we got there right at the opening, so there wasn't very many tourists at all. Besides the waterfalls being big and beautiful, they are very fun waterfalls as they make little pools that you can take a dive and rope swing into. You can even zip line while you're here. It was a little sad because the zip line was down while we were here. That, however, didn't matter too much because it was so fun going on the rope swing over and over again. Now we travel to the west of Jamaica and start our journey at the Blue Hole Mineral Springs. This spot was wild as it is a place to go and jump into this big hole in the ground and splash into the deep water below. This place had a younger vibe than a lot of the other places we went to. What makes this place cool is that there are a lot of different levels to jump from and into the water below. You can even climb into the trees to get a further jump into the water. But also, once you are in the cavern below, it just feels so mystic and cool. It is really a great spot to come and jump in the water. We loved it, and if this is the only side of the island you're coming to, you should just come here because you won't be able to do some of the jumping at some of the other places. We loved it because the locals get really crazy with their jumps into the water, so it was some side entertainment. In fact, these little kids are doing backflips and tons of different dives into the pool. It's a great place if you want to escape the all-inclusive resort feel from the rest of the west side of Jamaica. But one of the coolest things that you can do on this side of the island is just take a day adventure on a boat. And in our case, we set out on a glass bottom boat so that you can see the ocean below as you're floating along the sea. The trip was really fun. I'm not sure you need to take a glass bottom boat, as there are all kinds of boats you can take for similar day adventures. The boat ride we did take first took us to explore a few hot spots where you can see a lot of the fish below the boat and on the surface of the water as well. Then after that, we sailed across the beautiful coastline, stopping to look at cool little spots with lots of fish, and eventually we arrived at a great location for some snorkeling. We saw all kinds of fish as we snorkeled in those clear Caribbean waters. In fact, there was a lot more that I didn't even capture while snorkeling here. We even saw some jellyfish and some other cool sand creatures at the bottom of the ocean. The last part of our boat trip, we had to sail a little bit further along the coast to what was the most entertaining restaurant and tourist spot on the whole island. Even as you float up to where the boat drops you off at this little dock, you can see why this restaurant is so fun. This is Rick's Cafe, and I'm kind of partial to the name. As you might have already been able to tell, jumping into the water is kind of a thing here in Jamaica, and there are plenty of places to do it. Well, Rick's Cafe fully embraces that idea and has tons and tons of ledges and places to jump off into the Caribbean Ocean. This restaurant is really kind of a party scene with dancing, music, DJs, pools, and cliff diving. But also, it's just the place you want to be at sunset, as it has an incredibly beautiful sunset on the shore. And it is a restaurant, so it's not just about all that other stuff. The food was delicious as well. And honestly, everyone was jumping into the ocean because no matter where you turn, there are different heights for the different levels of jumpers that they have. It is really just a fun and lively atmosphere with tons of great music and a great mixture of eating and activity. I highly recommend coming here unless you don't like party scenes that much. Other than that, it's awesome. But eventually it comes time to go back, and you end with the boat trip with the sunset over the water that will send chills down your spine. The sunset is like no other and a perfect end to your day while here in Negril. Because now we're going back to our all-inclusive resort at the Royalton. Now, I didn't have a good reason at the time for choosing this specific resort. All the resorts in Negril are really nice, but the food was incredible at this specific location. And they have pools and splash pads and all the amenities everywhere. It was so big, there was so much to do anywhere you went. But let's be honest, what we all look forward to in these all-inclusives is the food. We actually didn't have bad food anywhere we went in Jamaica, but the all-you-can-eat buffets were the best, because not only do they have the all-you-can-eat buffets, but they also have fancy restaurants you can eat at for free as well, as long as you make appointments. There is so much to do. I mean, at any hour of the day, there's something going on here. If you need an example, I actually always enjoy cultural shows wherever we go, and we got one here at this all-inclusive resort. My itinerary has an interactive map to help you navigate around the whole island if you want to do it like I did. Now, I just want to put in a plug for exploring the whole island of Jamaica by car. I love it no matter what country I go to, because you drive through almost the whole country and get to see how the people really live and what it's like on all terrains of the island. It makes it such an amazing adventure and always unforgettable. Some of my best memories are just in the car with my family having fun on those drives. Jamaica has some of the most beautiful landscapes too, so consider renting a car and driving it around the island as you explore. Like, subscribe, and I will blow your mind as you watch one of those other videos.